Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Undercut Destruction. This week I am here behind the river that I don't think we've named, over at the place where I was complaining about the track work. And today we're going to work on this road and going out that way. We're going to work on the land over there. We're going to work on the river over here some more. I haven't gotten the chance to put down more trees yet, so we can't really go this way, but we can work on a little town here if we want to, which I threw down a bunch of buildings for that. I think with some additions that I've made over in Mason's Landing, I think we are all set with buildings for there, but I'm not 100% certain on that yet. This is wrong. This looks weird. Let me fix this. Something happened here. I just need to make it flattish and not have that weird bump. I'll assume this was like the edge of the tile or something. Actually, was it? No, it was not. Not at all. Was it? No, because the edge was right here. Well, it's close. It's very close. So we can work on this area a little bit, but we'd have to do it by hand, because again, no copy pasting. We have this section that's done, but we need to work up this way. Ideally, we could get to here by the end of the episode, but that's kind of a tall order. Especially since we do have to add a bunch of trees. And we left a little gap there. What else did I say we have to do? This area I don't want to touch until I copy paste some trees in, which I could do that at the very end of the video. This area again is going to be treed up, so I can't do that much maybe except for this. This area over here then I can't really touch until we get to the swamp. I can work more in the swamp, that's for sure. And I think I'll avoid Mason's Landing for the time being. What I think I want to do is get texture down on this section of land. And that's it. That's what I want. Or not texture, but texture and scenery. And so terrain to maybe up to here, that would be a tall order, but I think we might be able to get to it. So let's do that first, because that's kind of what I'm in the mood to doing. And we can look at our comments real quick, which I actually answered them both in text, which isn't what I'm supposed to do, and I realized that afterwards. I was kind of just going through all the comments and answering them as I was prepping for this episode, and that was a mistake. But the first thing was Dean saying, I have a good name for a shop in Olive, the Unlimited Breadworks. So we'll come back around to that in a little bit, because I do want to name some things, because Wyvold gave me an idea for naming things, which is, I think he said, a runway letter sunken into the ground. That way it'll show up on the map. Which, you know, not a bad idea. I think I'm going to use that. But anyways, we've got the NCS dubstep stream in the background again. It's done me pretty well so far. I quite like it. By the way, guys, take example from Dean. You guys can name things on this map if you want to, and I will gladly go and name it unless I already have a name for it. If you think there's a better name for something, we currently have things like named, Mason's Valley, or Mason's Landing, Mason's Valley. Stuff like that. It's kind of repetitive. That area has a lot of Mason's this and Mason's that, so I think I might try to break that up a little bit. But, anyways, it's also Mason Valley, not Mason's. This seems to be going well. Names are always a tricky thing in world building. Just, there are so many things that you can do with them, so many things that you might want to call reference to something in the world, out of the world. You might want to be typical, you might want to be atypical, you might want to use another language. like for one of my classes, speaking of which, I need to come around to classes and stuff in a minute, because I need to talk about that. One of my classes, we decided to call ourselves Lacus Consulting, which I think is like traffic in Latin or something. Because that's what we are, we're traffic engineers. But here's the thing about the classes. So when I originally made my semester schedule for this, it looked like it was going to be relatively easy. But the fact of the matter is, coming home from classes at 8 and 9 o'clock in the evening, even if they start at noon or 2 or even 6 o'clock sometimes in the evening, it's rough. And it's really difficult to sit down after that and want to make videos. So that's why videos have been kind of sparse lately. Not only have I just not had the passion, except for stuff like this where I'm really invested in getting this done, I have been tired, and it's been difficult to have the proper time to do that. You know, especially with, it's not just classes when it comes down to these things that I have to do, these things that I have to work on. It's a lot of group assignments, and so there's a lot of meetings that I'm doing that are not actually on my schedule. And on top of that, I get home and I'm tired, but I've only been awake for a little while. I'm tired because it's late in the evening. And I don't have it in me to make a video, I don't have it in me to sit here and talk because it's 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. But at the same time, I'm not really ready to go to sleep. And so then I end up having, what you might call free time, and I end up not making videos of it because I'm not doing very much. I'm sitting here and quietly playing a game, which is very different for me. I don't usually do that. And that leaves me with a relatively destitute video schedule. You notice this is the first video to go up really this week. And I'm sorry for that. I am, because I'm supposed to be producing, a video a day and this, that, and the other. But I just haven't found it reasonable to do. And I'm not entirely sure why. I'd like to fix that, but the fact of the matter is I don't think that's going to be fixed. When I start working, I don't know. It's going to be a different story with the way my schedule is. I did manage to keep up a little bit before, but I know at the very least I'm going to be whittling it down to mainly just the things that I make that I really care about, or the things that I'm already doing with friends, speaking of which, so the new season of Rocket League just started, and since last season, and by we, I mean myself, TBA, and TJ, all were considering doing a thing in competitive Rocket League that we called the Terrible Tees, and then we'd be going in 3v3 as a team, and just seeing if we could get good. And admittedly, they are both better than I am by a margin. These days, I'm not sure if TBA or TJ is better. They would probably each say the other is better, because they're like that. But the fact of the matter is, I would have a lot to learn, and I would be in the backfield a lot. But this might be something that we record now that the new season is dropped. And I'm interested in doing this. The difficulty is getting people together and having the time for all of us, myself included, with what I just talked about. But in lieu of that, I'm trying to make the shows that I do make that much more important. So the podcast is still the podcast. Podcast is going strong, as it were. In fact, we should have one coming this weekend. I need to write a little note in our group about that. But the other thing with that is the podcast takes a lot of time and has a lot of people on it, and therefore it's difficult to produce. Also, it has a relatively higher production value than something like this, even though this is, even though it's all pretty low, because it's just us talking. It's not like we do a lot of editing or anything like that with regards to the podcast or whatever. But the podcast has a little bit more structure, it has a little bit more thought put into it. This is just me talking. So in order to improve this, and in order to take some weight off of the podcast, I'm getting a lot of comments that I mumble, and so I'm trying to do better with forming my words correctly. In fact, believe it or not, there's a speech center 2 floors below me, literally, in the facade or in the front area of this building. Not that I was thinking of going in there, but it's interesting that it's there at the same time that I seem to be having problems with my speech, which is something that I have noticed. Which is a problem, considering I do this all the time. Anyways, I digress. What I'm trying to say is, in order to take some weight off of the podcast, and off of what we could potentially be doing in the podcast, I am moving the discussion topics to here. And I did mention this on the podcast, but I wanted to mention it again here, because it's entirely possible that the viewers don't completely overlap. I know there are quite a few people that watch both productions, but that, you know, this might be your jam and that might not be, or vice versa. But the idea is, if you want me to discuss something with other people, including the podcast crew, what I will do is I will set up a little document, just like I do for the Zombie Train, and you guys can feel free to post what you want to see, and that includes a discussion topic, so something specific for us to talk about. It can have a link, it cannot, but post it in the comments of a video, you know, either this one or the other one, and we can spend a certain amount of time. You know, I might do it like the Zombie Train, where I just have a rolling document of, so this is what we have to talk about next. But I might do it more like the podcast, where I get a number of topics and I try to cover them all in an episode. Because it's 2 hours, we should be able to cover more than one topic. Whereas on the Zombie Train, it's one topic and I have 15 minutes. It's, you know, it's very different. And even then on the Zombie Train, I sometimes will run out of things to talk about. I sort of take the opportunity, or take the virtue of ad-libbing and just sort of going on a tangent. I need some water. Alright, so what I was saying was, it's important... No, that's not what I was saying. I was saying, figure with the, I think I'm going to have to go this way because I'm going to make this area kind of tall. Figure with the discussion topics that you guys can leave me them, and I'll try to cover up to 4 of them, so that leaves a half an hour for each. And I'll try to get the cast of characters that you guys name to be on the podcast, or be on this show, be on Under Construction. So then, it's sort of moving away from the just me talking about stuff, but if we don't have any, I'll just do that. I'm not going to get people on the show unless there's specifically something that you guys want me to talk about. And if I don't cover something, feel free to post it on the next episode. And basically I'll go with whatever 4 or even 3 if I leave, if I leave one for talking about comments. One section, I mean. Alright, so we've reached the edge of this terrain. This is the big T. Alright, so I'm going to work this way now. But I will try to get the cast of characters that you guys name in order to talk about a specific topic. Because, certain people talk about certain things better, certain people talk about certain things worse. We can't obviously talk about anything confidential, so you can't say, I want Weibel to come on and you guys to discuss the things that go on in the museum that you don't talk about on the podcast. Because the reason we wouldn't talk about them on the podcast is because we can't. Because it's not something that we can talk about in the open, on air, that can be shared, because we don't want to damage, hypothetically damage, I guess, because, what we say might not be damaging, it just might be secret. We don't want to damage anyone's reputation, we don't want to expose secrets, we don't want to spoil things. If some railroad has got something major coming up, or some museum or whatever, say like there's this big 113 excursion, Chris couldn't come on and talk about it any more than he could talk about it on the podcast. It's not something that we could do because we're on air. It's not a choice that we can make. If they were in charge, then they could tell whatever they wanted, and I'm sure, someday when Weibold runs the museum, he'll be able to come on here or even on the podcast and announce things. And that's our insider look, your insider look into the Colorado Rare Museum. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Or this just in, Weibold's going to run the museum. No. Anyways, I digress. Feel free to post discussion topics. It doesn't have to be just things that I can talk about. It can be anything that you want us to talk about. It can be about our past. It can be about current events. It can be about some historical event that you'd like us to just pick apart and talk about. It can be a conspiracy theory, It's anything that you want us to talk about. If there's something that you think not only we would find it interesting, but more importantly, you would find us talking about it interesting, that I will gladly do, because anything to make this show or any show more interesting, more, better for the viewer. Somebody asked on a recent Zombie Train or something, I believe it was, if they could suggest a show. And, my response was, well, nobody said you couldn't. And I know that sounds kind of sarcastic, but what I meant by that was, yeah, of course, absolutely, I would love to hear a suggestion for a show. If there's something that, if one person wants me to do something enough for them to say it in the comments, it's likely that there are other people that want me to do the same thing but just haven't spoken up yet. It's like when you're in class and the teacher asks, oh, does anybody have any questions? And you wonder if you should raise your hand and say something because you think you might be the only person with that question. But odds are, if you're in that situation, there are other people thinking the exact same thing, unless you're in a very small class. There are other people thinking the exact same thing because not everybody gets it the first time around. And there's no shame in that, but that's me soapboxing. I am actually personally really bad at that. I tend to not want to disrupt class, and that leads me into trouble, so don't do that. It's okay, that's what the teacher's there for. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Do that, and we've got a pretty steep valley here, and I think I like the looks of it. In fact, I think I might put a relatively dry riverbed in there. Actually, we already made it to here. How far in the video are we? We're 18 minutes. That's pretty damn good. I think we can make a detour and do something else. Also, Bonnie Gaming. This is our other comment. This is fairly important. If you need any special engines, is there any way for people to contact you about it? Well, there's the comments, of course. But the comments are not the best way for me to be contacted. And the comments are not where I'm going to distribute my link to my massive Tollbrand spreadsheet, otherwise known as the Great Tollbrand Reskin Project, which is something you may have heard me talk about before. It's not where I'm going to distribute that. In fact, where I will distribute that is over Skype. So, if anybody wants to contact me, the easiest, most thorough, and most likely way to get an explanation, or the best way overall to contact me, is to find me here on Skype at Bombs321 or Ellis D'Amelio. I think I show up if you type in either in. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. But that is the easiest way to get a hold of me, and it's the most reliable. So, if you guys want to participate in the Great Tollbrand Reskin Project and do some work for me, for which I will be eternally grateful, feel free to contact me right there, and I will get back to you, especially if you say something like, hey, I want to reskin something for you. The only catch is, the only real difficulty with that stuff is, because I want this map to be multiplayer compatible, it has to be a reskin of something that's already on the download station, or it has to be something that somebody makes themselves and is willing to put on the download station, so it would have to be basically a free thing. I'm not in the position to be spending any money on putting this map together, even though I have spent money on getting equipment for it, just for my own fun. Like, this is the reason why I bought most of my K&L lately. It's this and the Iron Horseman Chronicles, and that's about it. And that, put that like that. That's sort of, we need to push this closer to the edge here. Okay, so that looks good. This is too steep. What was I saying? Yeah, that's the way to get in contact with me. There's really no other extremely reliable way to do it, because I'm not going to be giving out my phone number on the show. Although, if you really want it, if you befriend me effectively, that's, the easiest way to do it. I'm not too stringent about who has my phone number and who doesn't. But anyways, yeah, if you want to work on the Great Tolbert reskin project, boom, there you go, Bobs321, same as this YouTube channel, which is such an old username for me. I'm amazed I still keep it around. I remember when I was rather young and I created my first RuneScape account, which was, I think, the first account that I really made, that I put in information for, and I decided to be Bombs321. Eventually I lost that account, but I decided to be Bombs321, and my mom freaked out. She was like, you're gonna get arrested, you're gonna get in trouble, you can't have your name be Bombs. Nobody's scared yet. Suck it, Mom. Anyways. Okay, so let's keep this going, because I want to get over this rise. I want to see if I can. This is better looking. This is better compared to what it was before, or the area that we just went through. So we'll do that. We'll do this. We'll do this. We'll do that. Is this? Oh no. Got a bad feeling about this. It's still 10-meter grid. No. No. Bad. Bad, bad, bad. We need to convert it. We need to convert it to 5-meter. Oh, sugar. Well, I need to fix that. Alright, so just these two, I think, were the culprits, were the problems. I must have just tossed those down without paying attention. Now I need to fix this trench that I made, though. I think the easiest way to do this is going to be just a small but very sensitive plateau tool. As long as it doesn't look bad. It's fine. As long as it doesn't look terrible, really, because it's not going to look good. Always use 5-meter grid. I know, I can hear Mason saying it already. Come on. More sensitive. Right, now we're going to spend time fixing this and not doing what I wanted to be doing. But at least the cuts and embankments will look better. This is just gonna look kind of weird. This is how God stitched the world together. He actually didn't say, you know, and let there be the earth. Nor did gravity combine rocks over millions of years to create the earth. What happened was, God is a real big fan of crochet. I mean, there's got to be some sort of almighty heavenly power that keeps crochet a thing. Right? Like, it wouldn't exist otherwise. If you do crochet, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm targeting you. Although I feel like the overlap of people who do crochet and people who watch this video is very, very small. To the point where it doesn't actually exist. Listen, if you do crochet, please say so in the comments, because I will be impressed. Okay, so that's fixed. It doesn't look that bad. This looks pretty bad. Oh, we're at the max sensitivity. Let's make it slightly larger so we can do this quicker. Alright. Alright. Yeah, sorry, I'm engrossed in this simple, stupid task that happened because I placed down the wrong size grid God knows how long ago. If anybody ever notices me doing that, just say something, please, because I'll need to go back and fix that eventually, and it's better that I do it sooner rather than later. Because when I do it later, it's when you end up with stuff like this, where I've built over it, and now I'm having to do work to stitch them together. Alright, screw it, we're doing this for the first time on this map. Put in a 0% gradient there. Alright, never mind, that looks appalling. I thought that was going to be useful. It's not. Ah, great, we just split the earth open. Just a few squares at a time. Doesn't have to look good, just has to look better. More like one square at a time. I wanted to go around and name some stuff. That's what I was going to do with our extra time on this segment, on this, you know, section. But now we're fixing this because 5-meter grid. Honestly, I should probably just give in next time and just go and leave it as a 10-meter grid instead of doing all this extra work. It's like, is it worth it looking just marginally better? So I wonder if it would have fixed itself if I switched it back. We are part of the way there. The dangers of playing with different sized grids. Well, and I kind of run out of things that I wanted to talk about specifically. I wanted to apologize for the lack of videos. I wanted to talk about getting discussion topics in on here and how, you know, how much that can change the show for the better. It won't really change the format of the show at all. It'll just mean that I'll have people to talk with, and I won't make a mistake this time and not record their audio. I'll probably make a different mistake. Oh, goodness gracious, come on. Working from this end because I'm tired of the other end. This is all going to be covered in trees. I just need it to not look terrible on the map. It's like, it looks like a scar. Like, literally, it's got scar tissue and everything. That's, you know, that's what it looks like to me. Now these smaller strokes with a small brush, which keeps things from getting out of hand. Yeah, I can't do thingy with that plateau at all. Can get away with this though. That doesn't look half bad. I can do that. That actually looked pretty damn good. It looks pretty damn good, if I will say. If I could say that. Come on. Down this, and then up. Alright. So... Alright, there. How bad does it look? Not that bad, and it's pretty much on the line, so you can't see it that well anyways. Okay, good. And this is looking good now, too. Just the way it weaves up the mountain. Okay, so now I can do this, and that. What? Okay, there you go. This, and that. I still don't like how wide it is, but whatever. We have got a nice weaving railroad line. This is what I wanted. A pair of Mikados and giant series of boxcars just to get a train up here. This is what I want. I wonder if there's any Rutland stuff on the DLS. Do I actually have any? Because I just want to stage a scene right now. Rutland. No, I just have this boxcar. Doesn't look half bad, to be honest. Rutland, I swear, is one of those railroads that, despite its size around here, really... It basically disappeared. There's not much to remember the Rutland by, except for a couple of mistakes. Well, not mistakes. So I always say that the Rutland's kryptonite was, hold on, let's see. The Rutland's kryptonite was, water. And that's because whenever they were faced with water, they did things that were really silly. So, one of the things that they did, which is, this is one of their more famous things. Here, let's do that, and let's get a whole bunch of freight cars to throw on the back of this. Let's just do... that looks cool, but it's not great. So we'll do that, and then we'll do one or two of these. I don't want to do... Yeah, I don't want to do anything that's... that's not built in. Honestly, I should be doing stuff that's already okayed, and that's it. But I just sort of want to have the scene of a long, long train. I'll put one together later, maybe, because this is not something to do during the episode. Just to have a long train to take up the hill there. I don't know exactly what would be coming out of Olive and going up the hill. I'd have to figure that out. Although, if it's a train starting from Olive, it's probably not going to be big enough to warrant a double head. So, anyways... On that note, we're 34 minutes in now. We can start work on the next project, which is going to be this. I want to make it so that unless I'm totally engrossed in something, about every 30 minutes I change projects. I used to do 3 projects an episode. I can definitely get away with 4, especially considering I I want to do a similar thing with discussion topics on here. But yeah, no, we can. If you have an idea for a discussion topic that you think would have been good on the podcast, I know we never covered any of them at all. And I even have a couple saved up, but they're not really ones where I would know what sort of cast I would want. So I'm not going to throw them in here, because I've got nothing to do with them, really. So that said, feel free to just put them down below, and we will talk about them. I will do my best to get the top rated 4, or at least the earliest 4, if nobody votes on any, if nobody thumbs ups any. I'll get them saved, or I'll get them, and I'll get the people for them. If I can't get the people for them, then obviously I'm not going to be able to get them. I'm going to have to do a different one. But the goal is to make it so that I can get people on board and talk about stuff and just, make the episodes a little bit less mundane. But what was I was getting on a thing about the Rutland. So, the Rutland is particularly interesting in their stupidity. Actually, I won't call it stupidity. It was just a different way of thinking, which happened to be stupid. So, the Rutland, when faced with water, just like many railroads, especially in the East, where they had to deal with water and stuff a lot more than Western roads, it was typically very easy to build a large causeway-type bridge. Not like this, but like you'll see with the wooden poles and the wooden deck, because all you need is a pile driver. And you can have a pile driver out at the edge of your right-of-way, at the end of the bridge, and just driving piles, and then you build the next section of bridge, and you move the pile driver up, and you build the next section of bridge, and you move the pile driver up, and you can keep doing that all day long. 7 days a week, really, if you wanted to work people. Well, 6 days, considering. But, so you do that, and then you have a big bridge, and then you just bring in dump cars, and you dump fill. And so then, instead of a bridge, now you have a causeway, so it's not nearly as much trouble. So, most railroads would do that. The Rutland kind of took this to an extreme, because when faced with Lake Champlain, they decided that what they were going to do was they were going to figure out where the shallow parts were, and they were going to go up the lake. Not like cross it from east to west, but try to get up the lake, up the middle. There happened to be a couple of islands there, which was very thankful, I suppose, for them, and factored into their plan, no doubt. But they decided to build a causeway that I think it's got to be a couple miles long at least. And eventually, originally it was a trestle, and eventually they filled it in. It had 2 bridges on it, one of which was a swing bridge, and was part of their main line from the Troy area to, from Rutland, I guess, really. But from there to Canada. Yeah, Canada. And then they filled it in. The causeway is still there. It's part of a bike trail now. You can bike down the whole thing, and where the swing bridge used to be, there's a ferry now to take you across that short gap in the bridge, which is just goofy, but it's cool. And they lined it with marble. The riprap they used was junk marble because there was a quarry along the line in a place called Proctor, and everything that wasn't good enough for building or for sculpting, the railroad bought at basically just junk value and used it as riprap on the side of their gigantic causeway, and it's still all there. You can still see it. But that wasn't the best thing the Rutland did around water. That's just their most prominent example. So, over about halfway, no, it's not about halfway. It's in the very lowest, the southernmost section of Lake Champlain. There is a ferry that crosses the lake at a narrow point. It's south of Port Henry. Oh, no. Wait, why is it ringing? I should be off. I should be on Do Not Disturb. It should not be ringing. But anyways, what I was trying to say was, that's the first time that I've been actually called. I don't know why Do Not Disturb is still letting calls through now. Strange. Anyways. Yeah, the Rutland built this causeway. Sorry. The ferry. The ferry, that's right. So, up there, the Rutland decided that what they would do was, they wanted to get to Port Henry, they wanted to sort of beat the D&H there. So the solution was, okay, we're going to go, and we're going to cross the lake here, and we're going to just build up the side where the D&H is going to build, and we're going to get to Port Henry, because there's a steel mill there, we want to connect to there and get the money. So, they started doing that, but the steamboat company that operated in that portion of the lake said, no, you can't do that. We can't have you all up in our grill. We need a certain amount of clearance to get the steamships through, no matter what. And the Rutland said, okay, how much do you need? And the steamboat company said 300 feet. So that was, a drawbridge was kind of off the table at that point. 300 feet is like a third of the width of the channel at that point. And so the Rutland sort of scratched its head for a little while, and then decided, okay, and went out and bought a barge. A barge that was 301 feet long, 30 feet wide, so it was a ratio of 10 to 1 in length to width, and 12 feet high. And 12 feet up on this barge, basically they built a 12-foot tall trestle and put tracks on it. And then anchored the barge at one end of the quote-unquote draw section of their bridge. So they now had a drawbridge that was actually a barge and could swing out of the way of oncoming boats. This worked for a little while. They had it for a number of years. The problem with it, though, was because it connected to a trestle, it's not like the tracks came down to water level, the train rolled onto the barge, and then the barge carried it across. No. What happened was, they would just swing the barge into position, lock it in at both sides, and then drive the train across. The problem was, because the train was at the height of the trestle, the barge became extremely top-heavy, and on multiple occasions capsized the train into the lake. There are a few pictures of this, as a matter of fact. Allegedly, it only once dumped a locomotive in, but there were a few close calls. Look at all that vegetation. Looks good. Let me check on this real quick. So anyways. What is here now? Oh, crap. Mason was smart, and he mapped this to, like, a key on his... I don't have any extra buttons on my mouse, so I can't do any of the cool stuff that he's doing. But he's, like, min-maxing trades. It's bizarre and amazing. But, so the barge overturned once again in 1917, and they decided that this was the last straw. It overturned, the lake was kind of icy, and it sank and then overturned. And you can tell this because the sections of trestle sloping down onto the barge in the pictures of it are just at bad angles. They are sloped down. So the barge sank and then turned upside down and dumped the train into the drink. is a picture of Rutland Railroad men just sort of standing around, some standing on the bridge, some standing on the ice, and there are two cars that are half sunken into the lake. One of them, or they're both Canadian National boxcars, but one is a Canadian National, I think a 7000 series, or whatever it was called. It eventually became the 7000 series, but I'll get to that fun part of the story in just a second. So, the common practice when you destroy someone's freight car is to pay them off for the cost of the freight car and the cost of the contents of the freight car. So, the Rutland was quite used to this at this point, so they paid off the freight car, or they paid off the Canadian National for the freight cars they destroyed, and then shut down the bridge, and they decided to just use trackage rights over the Delaware and Hudson if they needed to get to Port Henry, because the Delaware and Hudson had gotten there at this point. And they owned the track there anyways. But now the Rutland had an easier way around, so they abandoned this edge of what was called the Addison Branch. And the trains that ran down there then began to terminate right there, at the end of the branch, at the bridge. Or, well, at the stub, which used to be a bridge. The rest of the story, or a lot of the rest of the story, really takes me showing off some pictures, but I can cover this one small, interesting, and particularly amusing, at least to me, part of the story. So, at some point after they dumped the cars in the river for the last time, the Rutland decided to take them out of the river, or the lake, I should say, because it was not a river, it was a lake. And so they took these cars out of the lake, and they decided to, considering the fact that they had already paid for them, because they were listed as destroyed, and that was, like I said, common practice, you pay for the cars you destroy. Because of the fact that they already paid them, the Rutland figured, well, I guess these are ours now, and so they put them into service. Or they put at least one of them into service. And the reason we know this is not because there's any account of this, but because in the pictures of the 1917 accident with the barge, one of the two cars you can see in the water is a Canadian National boxcar that's a wood-sided car with metal trussing along the outside of the car. And the reason that's important is because we know, based on the appearance, that was a particular kind of car. It was one of a class of about 1,000 boxcars that the CN had of that type. And, some years later, an orphan boxcar that looks exactly the same as this sunken car appears on the Rutland, number 7999, with no record of where it came from, with no, with no other cars like it on the Rutland, with no, build order or anything like that. It was not part of any order that the Rutland ever made for boxcars. It effectively just appeared out of the blue. The blue, in this case, being Lake Champlain, because we know exactly where that boxcar came from, because it's in a picture being dumped into the lake in 1917. So, that is... There are so many strange things that happen around railroads. That is just one of them. And it's one of my favorite stories now about the Rutland Railroad and just the way that they went about their business. Where, just like any railroad, they did a lot of goofy things to get by. And when it came to anything in and around water, the Rutland turned into a completely different animal. It wasn't just the dopey sort of, I guess it would be like a class 2 that it was. It was some sort of Frankenstein's monster of, well, we're gonna build this, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna, troll the shipping company. Although, to be fair, as far as we know, the the steamship company never complained about the arrangement with the barge. I'm sure they complained a couple of times if the shipping lane was ever blocked when the bridge overturned, when the bridge barge sunk. But we don't believe, or we don't have any reason to believe, that the shipping company ever came after them due to this weird situation where they left the proper amount of clearance open. Now, and that leads me to believe that the barge, or the steamship company, was not just being competitive in saying in naming a 300-foot wide thing. It was solely out of practicality. Now so this wasn't so much the Rutland sticking it to the man, as it was the Rutland finding a relatively simple way around what was otherwise a very difficult situation. And that's, again, what they did, especially when faced with water. Especially when faced with Lake Champlain in particular, because that was their biggest and most uncomfortable or unfortunate body of water that they had to deal with. Oh, this is looking good. It's not going to be... How far away do I have to go for it to stop? Okay, pretty damn far. Nice. I'm going to get a shot looking this way. This is what I want. I want to have this area done. Which we do have to start over here if we want to do that. The issue is that this cliffside... Well, this cliffside I can do largely myself, but I'd rather do it with the trees and copying pasting and stuff. But this is supposed to be a cliff. I do need a culvert here, actually. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure that'll be enough, actually. We do need a bigger pipe. In fact, these guys... Oh. Wait, is this the same on both sides? Ooh. Is this the right length? I think it's a little bit too long. Moving it to here. Yeah, see, that doesn't help. Also, that's just feeding into a thing, which we definitely need to create a little channel here to let this water out. Or, wait, what level is this water? This is at 0? Oh, yeah. We actually have some Z fighting here. Alright. Oop, oop. Well, here's what I'll do. Actually, that doesn't really make any sense. So, let me get a higher culvert, and then also what I will do is I will grab this. Oh, that's 1.2. Okay, so let's do this. Higher sensitivity is required. What is this? What is this height right here? 0.75. Now I have to plateau this to make it not look bad. But I will actually, because this is almost like a tidal inlet at this point, I'm going to be doing this up just the same as I do the edge here. And also I'm going to make it slightly... That is way, way, way too much. Turn down the sensitivity, seriously. Okay, so we need to change this, because it doesn't look that good. And we've got another 6 minutes or so on this project, and then we'll move on to something else. And I do actually want to flatten this, so like that. The other thing is I just need a smaller culvert. Like this? Is this too tall? Holy mackerel! So the answer to that was yes. And I am going to put, I think, 2 of these in. Kind of wish they were the right height, but it's just the fact that these guys are not as big as the other ones that makes it better. I would kind of want to slide them together. But one being higher than the other is... Ah, there we go.
Jack it up.
So we're going to put 2 of them here. I'm going to turn them this way. Like that, that looks good enough. And then we need to lower them until they're in the water. There we go. Looks pretty good to me. We've got a culvert. Alright, so I'm going to be making this brown. Our mud texture. This. Mud texture, there it is. Swamp, estuary texture. There we go. Looks pretty good, if I do say so myself. Alright, so we've got 3 minutes left on this project. What can we do? Probably over here or over here. See, now I'm stymied. Now I'm not sure what to work on next. There's too many things to do and only a few minutes. And I always get this, even when I have, like, several hours. There's a reason, like, so, like I said, my classes sometimes start as late as 6. But I'm always stuck because I'm always thinking, oh, there's not enough time for this thing. There's not enough time to do this or that. Because I have too many situations. I'm so concentrated with actually making it to some place. I have so many situations where I feel like, oh, you know what, this will be easy, I'll get this done. And then it runs over time, and I don't ever want to be caught in that. Especially when it comes to getting to class on time. And I'm already bad enough with that sometimes because... just because of where I have to come from and where I have to go, it's sometimes just a pain in the butt to get to class on time, even if the class is at 6 o'clock in the evening and I have all the time in the world to get there. I'll end up late by a couple of minutes because I underestimate the amount of time it takes to just get to my car and drive over there and then walk up all the stairs to the building. You know, it's important to be on time, especially when you're training for a professional environment. Now, it's, you know, if you're an office worker, sometimes it doesn't matter as much if you're there from, you know, 8 to 4, or there from 9 to 5, or there from 7 to 3, or whatever. You know, as long as you're there for your 8 hours, or especially just as long as you get your damn work done, the boss probably won't care all that much. But in an environment like, you know, probably like construction or like retail especially, or anything where you have customer service and you have shifts, that's, you know, don't be late. Because then you're either leaving the place where you're working high and dry, or you are making your coworker work more. Which, the first one is bad for your employer, the second one is bad for your coworker, and both end up being bad for you because you're late. So, you know, it depends on what sort of field you're going into, whether it really matters if you were late to the job or not. But the fact of the matter is, your boss is probably going to tell you, you know, no matter what field you're in, probably going to tell you, hey, be in on this time, or be in at this time, or you'll have to agree to be in at this time. You know, you can talk it out with your boss. But just do it, you know? If you need more time, ask for more time. You know, say, oh, well, I can't come in at this time, you know, whatever. If it's a shift job, that probably won't do anything. It won't make a difference. If it's an office job, it might. But, you know, what matters is you come in, you get your work done, you leave. That's, you know, the business world is about results. And that's really, you know, life is about getting results. It's not always your boss will commend you for your effort when there's no product to be had. Alright, well, I'm going to leave that there. We've gotten farther. We got from like here to here. And also I built this little culverty thing because I realized that there was a depression there. Pretty significant one. Yeah, next time I'll have to come back and work on that. The fish is in full force, and now it's got a spear. The fish is angry. Look at him. Urgh, he's like a baby narwhal. So, next thing, what did I say the next thing was? I said there were, oh, the other thing is working over here. What is the thing? Alright. Okay, so we're here, working on this. That grass is in the wrong, okay, it was gray. Oh wait, what am I looking at? Why is this grass here? I guess I just did something different with the coloration there. This doesn't really look good. I think I'm going to get rid of the dry grass in the middle of the river here. Actually, maybe not on this island. This one looks alright. That's not the right dry grass. At the very least, I can do a better job of placing it. Decrease that radius all the way. Let's just get the tip of the island a little bit rocky. Maybe we can throw some rocks down too. Alright. Like I said, I'm loving this NCS live stream. TBA, if you watch this, thanks. Thank you, you know, again, when you're actually around to hear it, but good call. I love having shadows. You know what? Let me do one thing real quick. Oh, you know what? I can't open it from here. Oh, show launch window. Yeah, I can. Because now I'm curious. Now I'm on this tangent. Let's go to download station real quick and punch in Rutland. Because those USRA Mikados are not too unusual. I wonder if I have anything in here that's Rutland. Nope. Okay. So we need to move up this way. This area is pretty much done. We've got this little sandy beach. These trees are too close to the edge of the water, as determined by where the thing is. We can look down this way and see cool stuff down. Now, again, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking and I'm not saying anything. I need to speak up, basically. But we've got covered hoppers, we've got gondolas, we've got boxcars. We've got Rutland number 200. What are you? Oh, it's an RS3. Oh yeah, of course. Rutland Coal Company number 2. Oh, that's something else. Lambert, 1995. Weststone Limestone Company. That's pretty cute. Looks like we've just got Rutland RS3s, which, not bad. I like Rutland RS3s. In fact, I would like the VMR ones to look sort of like that. Although the VMR has... What is the paint scheme of the VMR? It's like... Yeah. No, they would sort of look like that. But anyways. Let me grab... I don't know why I'm on House Construction 6. Let me just spatter some rocks all along the riverfront here. Because we know there are going to be tons, and then I'm going to sink them into the ground in a minute. Yeah, make it plenty rocky, and then sink them until there are no floating rocks, basically. Which sometimes leaves some pretty good-sized gaps without rocks, but in a general sense, that's fine. Because it's random. You know, life, the universe, everything, it's random. Speaking of which, don't panic. So I'm sure everyone knows, but I just need to express my joy about the most recent SpaceX launch, where Elon Musk and his new Falcon Heavy rocket put Elon Musk's Tesla Roadster, which was number 4 off the production line, you know, one of the first cars that Tesla made, into space on the test flight of the Falcon Heavy. And subsequently launched it into an orbit that is past the orbit of Mars, out towards the asteroid belt. So, I'm impressed. I'm excited. I am quite hopeful for the future of human space flight, and because of that, Elon Musk is kind of a big guy in my head. You know, he is the story of, you know, basically becoming great. He's, you know, he was not, I don't know, he wasn't anything, and he learned, and he moved his country, you know, a couple times. You know, he moved from country to country, eventually ended up here in the U.S., and managed to make his stake, and managed to, you know, make something great. And he actually has talked at length about, like, how U.S. is such a great country, and, you know, he's an incredibly patriotic dude, you know. Alright, so I'm going to continue with this. I really need to keep an eye on... the edges and things like that, where the grass is. I think this right here is going to be sand. If there's a little bit of green splotches here and there, I'm relatively okay with that. Although that's a little bit too much for me right there. There we go. This area right here, I think, should be this. Which, this is different. This kind of stuff sort of looks weird to me. I'm not sure really why I did it. In fact, the green makes the green of the grass makes the terrain look very gray, which I'm not sure that I like all that much, but I guess I'm just gonna live with it for now. Maybe I'll just do something else later. Although we do have that very brownish grass that we were going to use, or that we used a little farther down the river. This seems like it would be almost like stinging nettle. It's very thick, and it's very almost prickly looking. we go. Okay, so continuing looking down this way. I want to get all the way to over there. But I'm trying to think way too hard about what do I put where and how is it going to look. And I need to finish... You know, if the trees are casting shadows on something, then it's probably fine and I don't need to grass it up. Right, so there. And in this area back here, now I'm not sure what I want to do with that, but I think what I'm going to have to do is this, because that's the only kind of stuff that belongs in that area. Unless I changed up what I was doing down here, although we have this, but this is largely for more open areas. And this is for very close to the water areas. So yeah, that stuff back there probably deserves to be either this. Actually, I think I'll do this. Uh-oh. Come on. Alright, so we grabbed this, and I'm going to need to come back for those bushes. This looks like it'll be much darker in the thumbnail than it is when you put it down. Paint does that, you know? Ground paint. Alright, so do that. Do this. That. And then we'll come back in just a second. And what I actually want to do is I want to extend this dirt all the way down to here, because I think this is the same dirt that we use for the riverside mud. That isn't too steep. No, it's not at all. So I'm going to do this in the river. And this is area that's all going to be stony. So I'm actually going to put it here. Okay, there. Alright, we're getting down the river. We're looking slightly better. We haven't gotten to the gray part yet, but I think this is good so far. We even got some more rocks, and that's something that's particularly difficult for me to convince myself to do, because the rocks don't really matter that much to me. They are a nice detail, but it's, you know, quite a bit of work and a lot of objects to throw down for what relatively doesn't end up looking that good. Maybe it's because I'm overusing them, I don't know. Alright, so we do need the shrubs. Shrub. Is that the same paint that's down here? No, it's not actually. This is different. So let me change this. I think this looks better. There we go. I think this looks better than that anyways. Just a lot better. But this edge here I think deserves just this and some thick vegetation. This needs to either move back or just go away. Away. I should have moved it back. I'm not sure I want to go past here with the scenery because the trees and everything like that. So I might want to get a section that's pasted here and then do that later. So that means we'll move on, and once I'm done with this area, we'll go and maybe name stuff if we have time, or we'll go to a different project, which is probably going to be over by Mason Valley, which is probably going to be just things that have to do with the plots of land that these houses are on, because it's not going to be super forested right off the bat. Well, see, I might do that anyways. I might give it some crazy... Is this the same? Crap, it's not the right stuff. No, stop. Give me this. There. I might dump forest on it first and then clear it up. Because we're supposed to be getting back into forest as we head down that way. Yeah, this is the right stuff. Okay. So we need to put it over here. Okay. Do that. What was that? Oh, I accidentally moved it instead of that. I want that grass that I used down here. That's the thing that's really good about when you get sort of farther into a map. It's, you know, like, every time I've had a set of things that I know I like to use, but every time I go to a new map, I lose pretty much all of them. I can never find them, and, you know, pick lists be damned, I usually just use pick lists for remembering stuff within a map, like a bunch of industries that I think would look good somewhere, but I just don't know where yet. And the thing with that is, when I move from one map to another, unless there's something that's really stuck out at me from the last map, I'm probably going to forget it. I probably won't even remember that it exists or that I have it until I, you know, maybe luckily stumble on it again. But especially textures, I don't remember the names of them. I hardly even remember what they look like sometimes. I just know that, okay, I want a darker texture for this. Like, if I wanted, you know, there are a couple of ones that are particularly famous textures. For a long time it was like the Alpine, yeah, the Alps grass. This was like the go-to in 06. Now it's worthless. So it's that kind of thing where, you know, as you go on, things change, and some new, better things come out, and some, you know, not as good things sort of fall by the wayside. So it's worth starting anew sometimes, but if I need certain things, unless they're just in a big group of things, like a certain kind of houses, I'm probably going to be completely at a loss for what I want, what I need. Or unless they're a particularly, like I said, a particularly famous thing. Or something that's ubiquitous, like the lumber mill. You know, or the forestry. Or the signals, or, you know, maybe even the switch stands. It's like, am I going to remember this? Because what really matters is how many different types of thing that can fulfill this spot are available. How and what are the alternatives? You know, because if I look up like single platform station, I'm probably going to end up with this again. Because why wouldn't I? This is a good station, and there weren't many like it. Alright, so let me see if I can find a little bakery around here somewhere. I'm not sure where I would have put a bakery. I guess one would be downtown and not over here. But I know there were definitely some stores around here. Yeah, this looks good. There, if I turn off gradients, because holy cow, that's obnoxious. Turn off consists as well, and then turn on named objects. There we go. And then the other thing was, okay, so I need runway number. I don't know why this was the go-to. Oh. Huh. Sure, why not? Anyways. There are a few other things I need to name. This is one of them. Dolphin Lake, because it looks like one. And this would be... Let me name it, like, here, I guess? There's that. Oh yeah, and this is the Deer Run. Deer Run. This is good enough, because I can just name the lighthouse. For this one. Come on. Come on, up here. I need to name you. Most of these things are already things I already have names for. Again, if you want to be immortalized, or if you have an idea for a name, say something, and I will immortalize you. Also, is this thing slightly hovering? Yeah, it is. I need to sink into the ground a little bit. Or at least I need to flatten. God damn it. Lack of... Oh. Come on. No. Alright, that looks terrible. Let me just... So, let me just frickin'... There. Why is Glenzor... Okay, Unlimited Bread Works is there. I was gonna say, why is Glenzorgan there and not the other thing? Deer Run. This will be Clownfish Pond. Or should I just call it Clownfish Estuary? I don't know. Let me just do that. Call this... Whoops. I don't know. Keep holding Alt instead. Okay. So I also want industry names. There we go. Bigger mess. This is their only off map, so that's why it's like that. Elevator modal track 0. Yeah, this is looking good. I'm happy with the way this is. Now let's go down here. Speaking of industries, that's the other thing we can actually work on. So, we've got some spots where we can put stuff here, and I think... Did I toss down a couple of... no, I think I deleted... Oh, no, they're still there. Okay, so I have these boxcars and these hoppers, which these guys are going to be kind of important. But the thing is, so we have a cannery, we have a couple of canneries, which is Stagnaro Canning Company, which I should probably name so it shows up, but I will just do it here instead. So what I need is I need molt. There we go. So I need a couple of 20-meter ones. I think they should be long enough. Yeah, so this should be fine. And then, or short enough, I really should say, because that's what I care about. So we're going to put that there. The other thing I need to name is this, which is the MLO. Alright, so we'll worry about the rate later. This is going to be Cowgill Seed and Supply. Actually, we don't need to worry about that, because we're going to be putting a multiple industry down that'll do that for us. That'll show the name. The other thing I do need is I need a platform to put alongside it, so let me go and grab one. Which, yeah, there should be one right... Is this part of the building, or is this something I put there? I think this might be part of the building, which means I need to go grab the other one from Olive. Yeah, it is. Okay, unless I can remember the name of it, which should be Wood... Now, how about just... There we go. That works. This is different, but it's good because it is different. We won't be using the same one repeatedly. God, that's ugly, though. We might want to go get the other one instead. Whatever. Let's just slide the multiple industries in and call it a day for now. Which, we got onto our next task early, but that's just fine. Do that. Slide this into position. Which I need to actually line up properly, like so. Oh yeah, we got these new things. Somebody suggested these, so I went out and got them and used all of them. Or used them all over the place. So, like so. And then attach this to that, like so. So we're gonna need stuff that carries like barley and whatever, or whatever. What would we get? What would we put into a seed and supply? Because this is gonna be stuff that's distributed, ends up being distributed by trucks. So other than what we've currently got, it's fine. It should be like bags of barley though, because we'll use boxcars to drop off here. We need a boxcar for testing purposes. Let's just throw one of these there. That is actually slightly too close. Might be the first time I've done that. I need to move it, a pixel. 2 pixels, for good measure. $90.8. 270.8. Alright, so I need to sink this into the ground slightly. That looks good to me. It is a little bit sunken, but I need to do some research on that place. We need to place down a thingy in here. It's about time I got the industries here so that you can actually work this place. You know, it's only existed since we first put this area in. So I need to move this. Excuse me. There we go. Just any minute now. Any minute. Alright, so now we need to move this. Like so. And this like so. There we have our first necessary industry there. We will probably need an industry link here, so let me grab one before I forget. Industry link. Boink. That won't be visible later, so it's fine. The other thing I want to do is I want to move this to here, because this is going to be one of the ones where we can't, we almost definitely can't have a special section for that. Get rid of the track. Move this to here. That's good enough. And then we'll attach this. There we go. Alright, so there, we've got 2 more industries. I was tempted to put a very small industry here. I still might, and I'll make it for flat cars. In fact, is it at all possible? So, flat car. I don't want a narrow gauge one, but let's see if a narrow gauge one would fit. Yes. It would fit in the door. Okay. Just wanted to make sure of that. But I need a full-size flat car. 36 NG. This guy would absolutely not, and I think he's too wide too. Let's grab a flat car. If I recall, there's one close to the bottom. That's, yeah. No, this one, I think. Central flat car. It might actually be able to fit with, you know, with not even an inch to spare. There's a much easier way to test this, however. Alright. Now to slide this in the door. Oh, wow. Yeah, with inches to spare, it does actually fit. Okay, that's awesome, because that means that I can actually put this industry here. It makes a little bit more sense now. Obviously, I can't, you know, raise or lower the doors, but what I think I'll do is, you know, I'll bring the edge, I'll bring the edge right back to the edge of the building. Where's the building? Missed. I'll bring the edge right back to the edge of the building and put in a 10-meter multiple industry. Which I think is even longer than what we had initially. That's okay. We'll just move this away. That's something that I might look into using. Actually, what does this have available? Okay, so just some logs and goods. Which, oh, it's got camp goods too. That's not bad. But yeah, we need to have 2 multiple industries. I'm gonna move these strings of cars to over there for now. Actually, I'll move them up here. There. Okay. So we've got that. We need another one. We need a 60-meter one to be there in between the buildings. Alright. We need to make it aligned. Oh, we're moving the building. How about like that? Yes. Okay. Come on now. Oh. Huh, wonder why that wasn't working. Okay, so the other thing is this is on a slight slope, so this end bit is going to be really sloped. That's okay. I'll just do this and that. Shouldn't make that much of a difference. And then this. Although, okay, I'm glad they didn't mess with anything, because too much of this stuff is really quite precarious. You know what I need to see, though? I need to turn gradients back on for a second. Gradients! Come on, show me the gradients. 1.27 on the 1.13. You know what? That's fine for those. They're just little stub end tracks. Okay, so I need to install the last industry here. Which is going to be the end of the line, which means that you can't push stuff past it. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Alright, so I need to align it properly and then move it in. Okay, how about a tick more? Nope, in the middle. There we go. That might do it. I think it does it. Okay. Okay, so God, this is working in such tight conditions is a little bit annoying sometimes. Okay, so okay. Excellent. Oh, excellent. And so we've got industries down. We need to figure out what goes in the industries, but we've got them there now. Also, I was asked to have one where the rail line slides between a couple of buildings, like tight buildings down an alley. But honestly, I don't think that goes here. I'll have to do that again. I'll have to do that in some of the more built-up areas, maybe even in Salesville or Mason Valley, I mean. But here it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to do that. So I think I'm not going to do that here. I do want a couple more houses, though. Maybe just buildings. No, you can't answer whatever that is. What is that? Uh-oh. Why do I have messages? What do people want? Okay. Okay, so the Munchie series are a pretty nice set of buildings. But I actually want a couple more houses because I think we're all set with non-house buildings. So I'm going to scroll down here because I was actually working... Scrolling way too far. Houseboat. Like these guys, these kind of houses. Like I could definitely use one of these right on this corner here, right on this side. Before the road starts going downhill. What the hell is this? Okay. Looks a little bit Eastern Bloc. Although not enough concrete for that. Howard Street Bridge. Maybe we'll make use out of this at some point. No, I don't need this. Alright. I don't know what else to put here. You know, I don't know where to start with the property lines and stuff like that. I know I should probably put some more beach housey stuff down here. Maybe having what was once like a tram line. I don't know. I don't know about that one. I'm just kind of at a loss for what else to put here. You know? What is this? Oh, this is nice. Yeah, here's the thing. There you go. There's another building. Hurricane. Oh yeah. It gets me every time. The ice plant. I don't know. I am lost once again. Parallel in the something palace. Okay. Okay, so I don't know. We've got a lot of buildings scattered around. None of the roads are unused, really. Though honestly, this road I think should be different. Did we already like smooth the ground around this one? I know we did some work on it, but honestly I think this road should be different because I'm realizing this now. If this road was built first, that means it would come to here instead. So let me get rid of that. It would actually come this way instead. And it would come to here pretty much straight away. And then this road was built as sort of a bypass when this was shut down. Because they built the bridge. So it looked sort of like this. And then this actually went to here instead. Oh, knew it. This actually went to here instead. And that went to there. I don't know why this is necessary. In fact, what I think I'll do is I'll now use one of these instead. grab it first. Then I'll take it over here. Do I have a transition? I think I must. Let me also add a thing in the middle here. More like it. Although, I want it to be more like that. Then I can straighten the middle section. Yeah. There. Okay, and then this one is something that needs to change as well. Although I think it would have to end up looking like this. Similar to the other one. We go up and then flat and then down to the intersection. And then this. No, not yet. It's easier for me to actually hang up with it on the phone. No. Hold on. Then to click out of the window. I apologize for that. Whoops. Oh, is this still the broken kind? What kind of intersection is this? No, it should be fine, right? Also, I deleted that whole road. I didn't mean to do that. I just wanted to move it slightly because I need to see if we have an adapter. And I think it's broken. Yarnish adapter. No, L1, L2. It's... Nope, that's not it. Okay, no, I don't have one. Should be like L0 or something. That's cool. But, no, okay, we don't. So I'll just connect this. I'll just connect this like normal. Nope, I missed. I missed again. There we go. Wow, that's picky, isn't it? There we go. That makes a little bit more sense. And then we've got actually a cross street here, which would imply that stuff would end up getting built up on the corner, but because that's relatively new, you wouldn't necessarily see that happening. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Either way, this is like the only way to get through town. This is just here to let people get to the railroad station, and I didn't really put anything else along this road. I don't really know why it exists. Honestly, I could make it a road like this, but it deserves to be paved because it's, you know, it's there. It's not unused. You know, you wouldn't necessarily build a road like this in this day and age. The reason these roads are like this is because they're old and in the process of being upgraded, and not the other way around. So I have to name a bunch of things, don't I? I also need to figure out what's being dropped off. So I need, like, barley, hops, and wheat. Hold on. Can you tell I don't drink yet? Ingredients for beer. Not beef stew. Oops. Come on now. Also, I think, if I recall correctly, there is a beer commodity. So we'll be doing that. grain, hops, yeast, and water. So, mostly malted barley, but also other grains. Hops, yeast, water. So we have all of those things, we only really need, what, 2 different things? So, we can get hops, I know we can. Corn, peas, rice, wheat, barley, yeah. Barley we can fill this thing with just to remind ourselves what belongs here. So we got barley. And then how about hops? There we go. These are hops. So we're going to be dropping off barley and hops. And we don't actually need this other thing. Boink. And then this carries orange pallet, apple pallet, auto parts, beer pallet. Yeah. So carries beer pallet out. So we get this in and beer pallets out. Why is this not? Is that not connected? Oh, there's a... Oh, okay, I see. Okay, I see. Alright, it's fine. So, barley and hops in, beer out, yeast and water is fine. I wanted to take in some general goods as well, because that would mean if it takes in general goods, that's where the thing would have to come from. Although we could also have it just taken. Is there a glass commodity? Do we have that at all? Let's see. Installed. Glass. Glassy. Narrowly glass. Spectrum on glass. How about on the download station? Glass. I wish we just had... Ooh, glass bottles. Let's see. Invisible palette of glass bottles. How about bottles? Do we have bottles installed? Bottles... Derelict glass bottles pile? No. Because I'd love for that to... I don't know. I would love to have... Alright, I have an idea. Let's see. Kiln. No. No, not in trains. In here. In objects. So we'll put this up here. And we will put... We'll have to put some sort of stairs down or something. But what we can do is we can actually have a little siding here. Clear that. It won't be very long. But it'll merge into here or so. That's way too sharp, never mind. It'll merge in somewhere down here or so. And it will be a drop-off place for quartz sand, because that's what you use. Just keep it in this direction for now. And so we'll have this place that makes the bottles for this place. And also we will have lumber in. So let's name these things real quick. Oh crap, no. There we go. This is gonna be ML Brewing Lumber. And this is gonna be... Actually, it extends all the way out here. I should just be able to click on it. ML Brewing... hoppers. This would be ML Brewing Beer. And then up here we need a rather small multiple industry, I would think. Maybe a 20-meter one. How far are we? Oh, we've only got like 5 minutes left. I got distracted. I got carried away. That's okay. I don't want the cannery, sorry. Sean's cannery. I wanted to use this somewhere too. I don't know where though. Up here. Because we can't transport empty glass bottles or whatever. We'll just have to make the glass bottles on site. Trains doesn't trust us to carry glass bottles. It's okay, I don't trust trains to carry glass bottles either. Not with their AI. Oop. No. Oh, I'm holding control. I don't know what it's actually doing. Oh, if I control click on something, it moves it? What the hell? I don't know what that does. Let me just redo. Okay, that's fine. No, I don't want splines. I want specifically track. Still a spline, but not what I need. Okay. Spline hole there. And then we are going to rotate this slightly once again, or we're going to move it actually. There. Yeah. Okay. Oops. One too many things deleted today. Alright. What the heck is going on here? Oh, I need to make it make sense. I need to make this work. What if I make this a downgrade, like 0.1? How about just negative 0.5? Actually, hell, why don't we just... Oh, wait, duh, because it was just removed. How about, like, negative 0.2 then? We're getting better. Still not good. Still breaks the switch. Negative 0.1. Oh, this isn't even negative. We're making it positive now. I feel like we're gonna break this somehow. Yeah, we are. We're breaking it. I need another spline point. Okay, and here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna leave that spline point in the middle. This is straightened, right? Yeah. And then we're going to actually remove the gradient output things. No. I wanted to get rid of the spline point. Just the spline point. Ah, there we go. So that should work. This is a little bit weird, though. I think I broke something. Nope. Alright. I'm going to leave this like that because it's janky enough. It's fine. I'll cover it with some grass, call it a day. Sprinkle some crack on them, call it a day. What is, though... So I need to balance these two. And we're already over time, but I really do need to balance these two. Except this is way too steep. They're both too steep. Although there's this just like... What even happens here? You know? If I make this 1, now it's too much. If I make it 0.8 or 0.7, does that work? It gets better. How about just 0.5? I thought this was much steeper than that. I thought we were really pushing the envelope with this gradient, but we're not. I think this is fine, then. And I'm making it longer than it needs to be. I'm just trying to... at least expose the ties. There we go, that's what I was kind of hoping for. Let's do this too. There we go. Alright, we're good. We'll have to finish up the industries themselves next time, but we have solutions, we know what we're doing, and I will see you guys next week. Trainman out.